Hey, what's up, guys? We are continuing Summer Fruit. This week, we're talking about peace. Man, in our culture today, anxiety, fear, concern, stress, all these things are so overwhelming. And we become so inebriated by it that it's all we think about and it's all that we focus on. And I love the Gospels and I love the Word of God because it gives us the remedy. And the remedy is simple: walk in the Spirit. When we walk in the Spirit, we get the fruit of peace. I don't have to worry about trying to push anxiety away. I'm just going to love Jesus, walk in the Spirit. He's going to fill me and I'll produce peace. Now, I love peace because peace is from outside circumstances, but more than that, peace has less to do with what I'm going through and more about what's going on in me. Come on now. When I'm filled with the Spirit of God, I am filled with peace. So I can walk in any moment, I can face any storm, I can go through anything, and outwardly the storm can be raging, but inwardly I'm in tranquility. Come on, somebody. It's going to be a great day as we talk about how to walk in peace, how to live a life that produces peace in any environment. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So, as Pastor Bo said, we're going to continue in this summer fruit, talking about peace, obviously. This can be a big one for a lot of people, especially now in the time we live in. It seems like anxiety is running rampant with everybody. I've experienced it, I think, for the first time in my life. Thought some heart stuff was going on, and so I went to the hospital, and she was like, they hooked me up to all the stuff, did all the tests, and doctor came in and was like, so how long does this last when it happens? I'm like, it's still going on. It's been going on for 3 hours. She's like, you're experiencing it right now. She looked up at the monitor. She's like, your heart's fine. Are you feeling anxious about something? I was like, I don't know. I've never dealt with anxiety, stress. You can ask Daphne. It always bugged her that, like, stuff would come our way, and I'm just like, it'll work out. I never stressed about anything, so I have felt that. Again, I think no one's been able to describe to me like, oh yeah, that was anxiety. So I'm just assuming. Anyway, our main texts are going to be Philippians 4, 6 through 9. John 14:27, that's just a supporting verse, adding some context. Mark 4:35 through 41. Oh, these are all supporting verses, sorry. Mark 4:35 through 41, Isaiah 26:3, and Colossians 3:15. Okay, so biblical peace is not the absence of a storm. It's the presence of Christ in the boat with you. Probably can tell where we're going to go with this by that statement alone. And it's the fruit of the Spirit which grows in you regardless of what's raging around you. You're going to see that common theme through these fruits of the Spirit. It's not something that we can obtain. It's something that the Spirit produces inside of us, each and every one of these fruits. It seems like we chase peace like it's a destination that we have to arrive at. You know, once this bill is paid, I can have peace. You know, once I start making some more money, I'll have peace. Once this diagnosis clears, you know, I don't have what the doctor thinks I have, you know, I'll have peace. Once this relationship gets fixed, I'll have peace. So most of us spend our whole lives waiting for the water to get calm before we'll let ourselves rest. But even me, but I believe someone in this room needs to hear today that Jesus never once promised us calm water. Not once. In fact, he promised the opposite. He said, in this world, you will, that's an unconditional statement. There's nothing you can do. You will have trouble. But don't be afraid. I've overcome everything that you're going to encounter. He promised you himself in the water, no matter how rough it is. And that changes everything about what peace actually is. And we're going to use the same format that we have been. We're going to talk about what peace is, what peace is not, a lie that we've been fed about it, and the biblical truth that breaks that lie. Okay, what peace is? John 14:27. Jesus says, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Jesus draws a hard line right here. He's saying the world's peace is completely circumstantial. And it exists only when nothing is wrong. But his peace, it's a possession. It's something that's given, that operates independent of the circumstances you're in. Philippians 4:6-7. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your request be made known to God. And then the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. Pay attention right here that it says that it surpasses our understanding. It's not for us to figure out. It won't make logical sense given the circumstances that you're in. It's not a glitch in the matrix. That's the definition. Isaiah 26:3 says the steadfast of mind you will keep in perfect peace because he trusts in you. Let's look at a different storm story than what we're going to look at here in a minute. Peter, they're all in the boat. They see Jesus walking to them. Peter is so focused. Once he understands that it's Christ, he's so focused. He's so steadfast in his mind that he's going to get to Jesus, that everything else around him fades away. He has no comprehension that there's even a storm going on around him. He's just, I'm getting to Jesus. His mind was set on him. His focus was sharp, and the storm around him couldn't hinder his walk until he started paying attention to the storm. And then the peace left. The peace, it blows my mind that I often think about this, like, so the water was choppy, right? Anyone ever been out on a lake when it's choppy or on the ocean? It's rough. Especially when you're in a little boat. But I often think, like, was he like hovering over the waves, or was he like using them like stairs, like, but it doesn't matter ultimately, because the peace that he had knowing Jesus is here, I'm going to Jesus. It didn't matter what was under him. It didn't matter what his walk looked like anymore. It was straight, and it was easy, and it was peaceful. Peace is the fruit of a mind fixed on God, not a mind that has successfully avoided trouble. I mean, I take red words pretty seriously in the Bible, and if Jesus tells me that in this world I will have trouble, I don't think I'm going to do a very good job avoiding it. So what peace is not? Peace is not the absence of conflict. Jesus said, again, in this world you will have tribulation or trouble, depending on the translation you're reading. And this is in the pretty much the very next breath, this is in John 16:33, where he's saying we're going to have tribulation. So this is basically the same, or the next breath after promising peace in John 14. It's almost like the disciples came with a problem saying, hey, this is going on. You promised us peace. And Jesus replied with this verse, oh, in this world you're going to have trouble. But don't be afraid, because everything that you're going to encounter, I've already overcome it. Like, Sonny's going to love this. It's a perspective shift. It's, as Paul says, renewing your mind, knowing this bill, I don't know how I'm going to pay it. I only get paid this much. I had to have this procedure done or whatever the circumstance is. I don't know how this is going to happen, but I'm not going to let it deter me. I'm going to walk after Jesus. And you know how many stories I've heard, like people that just are determined to follow Jesus and just miraculously, hey, someone paid this bill off for me. That's what, if you go back to the promise that God made, and I'm not tying this to money, but he said that when you pay your tithe, he will cause men to pour into your bosom. Like, that's what people often, I think, expect, like just this miraculous flow of money when they pay their tithe. And that's not scriptural. I'm sorry if that's what you believe, but that's not scriptural. Anyway, back on track. Sorry. Peace is not numbness or denial. It's not pretending that the storm isn't happening. And peace is not the byproduct of your own control of the situation. The illusion that if you manage every variable tightly enough, you'll finally feel settled. That's not peace. That's exhaustion, wearing peace's clothes. But it's almost the opposite, if you think about it. When you loose or you give up control of your life to the Lord, and you fully surrender it and give it to God, you find peace knowing that he holds you in the palm of his hand. So what's this lie that we've been told about peace? It's that I'll have peace once my circumstances get fixed. This lie keeps people in a permanent state of anxious waiting for the job to stabilize, for your marriage to heal, for the diagnosis to change. Convinced peace is on the other side of a storm instead of available in the middle of it. We're going to look at Philippians 4, 6 through 7 again for the truth that breaks this lie. This passage doesn't say pray and then wait for the circumstances to resolve so that you can have peace. It says that peace will guard your heart and mind while the circumstances are still unresolved. That's present tense language. In the anxiety, before the outcome is known. Colossians 3:15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. DJ, this Greek word here for rule is brobeo, and that is, for lack of a better description, it's an umpire's term. It's the final call. Peace is meant to be the deciding voice in your heart when anxiety and trust are competing for the call. You don't wait for peace to arrive after the verdict. Peace makes the call before the verdict comes in. Okay, Mark 4:35 through 41. This is the scriptural account of peace. The disciples, several of them, very experienced fishermen, they've made a living on the water. They're very familiar with calm water. They're very familiar with very rough water. But in this storm, they're convinced they're going to die. It was a storm that just suddenly came up. There was no weatherman. Doug Hetty said sunny and partly cloudy. And boom, this storm came up. I've been there. Doug Hetty lied to me one time. But they were convinced they were going to die. And Jesus is sleeping. They wake him up in a panic. Teacher, do you not care that we're perishing? We're going to die. And I can almost see Jesus waking up. He's like, what? Don't you know who I am? Like, are you kidding me? So he gets up and he speaks 3 simple words to the wind and the waves. Hush. Be still. And what's great is this Greek word for hush, or some translations say peace. Peace, be still. It's a proper way of telling someone to be quiet. So I can almost imagine Jesus just being like, shh, stop. Shh, stop. And immediately, the water's calm. The wind dies down. Can you imagine being in that moment? I understand why it says the disciples were in awe. Even the wind and waves obey this man. We knew who he was, but maybe we didn't. Not to the extent of who he really is. He said, why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? Notice Jesus wasn't anxious before he calmed the storm. He didn't wake up and oh man, what are we going to do? I guess I could just talk to it. No, he just knew, I got this. My Father's got this. He was asleep. His peace didn't depend on the wind dying down. The wind died down because peace was already in the boat, in the person of Christ. That's the whole sermon in one story. Peace isn't waiting somewhere out past the storm. It's already present, sleeping in your boat, if you know who's with you. Charles Spurgeon preached that the peace of God is not the peace of circumstances, but the peace of a settled relationship with God through Christ. It doesn't ask permission from your situation. Jonathan Edwards taught that this kind of peace is evidence of genuine grace at work in the soul. A supernatural calm no natural explanation can account for, which is precisely why Paul calls it a peace that surpasses understanding. A.W. Tozer often noted that much of the church's anxiety, oh, you dirty dog. What kind of guy doesn't put his phone on silent? Sorry. A.W. Tozer often noted that much of the church's anxiety comes from trying to control outcomes that were never ours to control in the first place. Real rest begins the moment we release what only God was ever holding. So, for believers in this room today, identify a circumstance that you've told yourself you can't have peace about until it changes. And bring, that didn't help, and bring that specific thing to God in prayer today. And ask the Spirit to let His peace guard your heart before the outcome, not after. And if there's any unbelievers here today, Every kind of peace the world offers, it's just rented. No one owns it. It disappears the moment the circumstances shift. You finally get that promotion at work. Thing is, like, I've thought countless times in my life, man, if I just had $1 million in my bank, like, everything would be golden. But that's not true. I just have more expensive problems. Like, again, it's a perspective shift. The peace Jesus offers, again, speaking to if there's any unbelievers here, the peace that Jesus offers is given, not earned. And it starts with trusting him, not managing your situation better. When anxiety rises this week, practice the Philippians 4:6 pattern immediately. Prayer, petition, thanksgiving. Sometimes the thanksgiving is before you ever see a move of God. Sometimes we got to thank him in advance, knowing that's where faith comes in. It's knowing that he's going to take care of it for us. So we thank him ahead of time. My bank account's still negative, but thank you, Lord, for providing for me. Practice that immediately rather than waiting until you see outcomes and before the anxiety becomes unbearable. Ephesians 2:14 says, Christ himself is our peace, not a feeling that he hands you, but a person you're now reconciled to. That's the gospel. Reconciliation to the Father, to the person of Jesus. Before the cross, you were at war with God. That's Romans 5:10. And no amount of self-effort could calm that storm. Jesus didn't just calm the sea in Mark 4. By going to the cross, he calmed a far greater storm between you and a holy God by absorbing his wrath at Calvary so that you could stand before him now, not as an enemy, but at peace. So if you've been waiting for your storm to stop before you'll let yourself rest, stop waiting. The one who spoke to the wind and the waves is already in your boat. Bring him your specific anxiety today. Bring it by name. Name it. Confess it to him. And ask his peace, which makes no earthly sense, given the circumstances, to stand guard over your heart and mind. We're going to move into interactive. If you guys are new with us, what that means is just it's a time where we can interact with God. We worship him. We seek him. We'll have prayer available over here. We'll have communion available over here. If you guys need prayer about anything, we're very happy to pray for you. Whether that be salvation or anything down the line that life has to come, that life brings at you. If you guys want to give your tithe and offering, there's a box at the back. On the end of the sound booth, there's buckets up here. But just take this time, interact with the Lord, interact with each other. If you feel like you need to pray for someone, go ask permission. Hey, can I pray for you? Just follow the Spirit's leading.